Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Shuklambaradharam Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarvavighnopashantaye. Sinduraruna Vigraham Trinayanam Manikya Maulispuratharanayaka Shekharam Smitamukhi Mapina Vakshoruham Panibhyam Malipurna Ratna Chashakam Raktotpalam Bibhatim Saumyam Ratna Katastha Rakta Charanam Yayetu Param Ambikam. Om Dhyayen Nityam Mahesham Rajatagirinibham Charuchandravatamsam Ratnakalpojvalangam Parashumrigavaradhitihastam Prasannam Padmasinam Samantat Stutamamaraganaihi Vyagrakritim Vasanam Vishwadyam Vishwabijam Nikhila Bhayaharam Panchavatram Piletram. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraham Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shruti Smruti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaste. Welcome everyone. Welcome back. Thank you, I hope. So, last time we already discussed chapter 1 and we were talking about significance of these introductory shlokas is already on the video for those of you who missed last time. And it's very important. Right? The preamble is as important as the subject matter itself. And then, of course, we enjoyed this very beautiful verse on the Mahatmya, the glory of the Gita. Right? So that one goes, Sarvo Panishado Gavo Dogdha Gopalanandanaha Partho Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta Dugdham Gitamritam Mahat. That also was explained, right? All the Upanishads are the cows and the milker is Sri Krishna. Partha is the calf and people of good intelligence, Sudhihi, are the other enjoyers. And what is being milked is the greatness of the nectar-like quality of the Gita. So, and then our program will be to then recite the verse that we marked for memorization from last time. Right? And you had only one verse, so it was an easy first week assignment, right? And that is the very first verse. No? So, first verse, how does it go? Does everyone have the sheet? So,
I have some extra.
Yeah, if you would like. The nice thing about this memorization is that even if everything else evaporates, that which is committed to memory at a young age, especially for the children, will be a reminder. Because we hope that not everything else evaporates. One must always have the backup plan. Okay, so first one. Dhritarashtra uvacham dharma kshetre kurukshetre. You can either chant with me or follow me. What would you like to do? Follow? For the first? Okay. Dharma kshetre kurukshetre.
Dharma kshetre kurukshetre.
Samaveta yuyutsavaham.
Samaveta yutsava.
Mamaka pandavaschaiva.
Mamaka pandavaschaiva.
Kimakurvata sanjaya.
Kimakurvaka sanjaya.
So we know the meaning of this verse, right? We've translated it. And we have actually completed the first module. So one useful and interesting thing to do is for you to just take a couple of minutes and recollect if there are 3 things you can remember from the last week without reference to notes. But it's very important because the power of the mind to recollect what it has learned that is important without auxiliary aids is the principal gift that our Vedic rishis gave us. Right? No cheat sheets. So let's do that. And then you just have to spend a couple of minutes and just think, what are the 3 things that were principal, that were absorbed from the last one? Everyone? Yeah? Right. So it's not easy, right? When you think of it, there is a mass of stuff that was discussed over an hour and odd. So that is an interesting exercise. Okay. So then let me ask you a question. What was the most empowering statement that you heard in the last class? Anyone? There are a lot of things. What do you think was most empowering? Be open to learning new things. Very good. Yes. Yes. Anyone else?
One thing was a new perspective which I understood about the way you described urgent meditation or urgent sthiti or sthita. You always have urgent, was it higher or something like that, and you can want to fight and all those.
Right.
The perspective which you gave us is very, at least very new.
Yeah.
Very powerful.
Anyone from the online? Because I realize we have an online audience, and I'm not ignoring you, although my attention may not be continuously directed towards you. But if there are any responses from the online group, that will also be nice. Some of them are in Des Moines or a little distance away, and so unable to commute for this.
I think I remember that you said the battle between the Pandavas and the Kauravas is a good analogy to the battle that each of us might wage internally on a regular basis. Right? It is the battle between anger and the urge to do the right thing. Right? That I thought was quite empowering in the sense that it is a reflection of what we internally have to face.
So I was thinking of one specific statement, and that was at one point somewhere I said, the supreme intelligence is in teacher. That should be a tremendously empowering. So then the question should arise, since we are going to have questions, and that's very nice. So what is the logical question? Actually, first of all, if I make a statement, it's either true or false. You're going to either accept it or not accept it. Right? Yes or no? So if it is false, then you shouldn't listen to anything I say after that. You should not listen to a liar. So the fact that you're continuing to listen means you think it is true. Yes or no? And you've come to understand the essence of the Gita. Isn't that the purpose of the class? So then the logical question should be, well then what is the impediment? If the supreme intelligence is within me, that I'm not immediately getting the essence of the Gita by just reading it. That is the important question. Right? Don't you agree? So this logic is very, very powerful. I mean, one has to accept one or the other. And we will come to this. That's the beauty of our tradition, is it's extremely logical. But it of course requires that, like in anything, there are some, there are some ground rules, right? So nobody is bound to take any part. You're free. Actually, in Bhagavad Gita, at the end of it, there's a beautiful verse where Sri Krishna tells Arjuna, after telling him 18 chapters, he says, now you do what you want. After giving the entire Brahmopadesham, he says, you do what you want. Right? I've told you what there is to say. So, but the beauty of that is then we must apply, that the human mind must apply its own logic. So therefore, if this statement is true, then what is it? This is an interesting question, I believe, and it's something that you can think about. What are the impediments to, and of course, to answer that question, partly one is Shravana. We are listening, we are starting to listen to the verses, get new perspectives. That's definitely one way we are overcoming these impediments. So that is one thing. And you see, the thing is, you all come to this class with various reflections of that intelligence, right? And that's kind of what you said very sweetly, that you have to be open to learning new things. Because we have an intelligence, we have applied it in the external world. You're all very proficient at what you do and very competent at what you do. But this book is going to produce some words and some concepts that is going to challenge your intelligence in a very deep way, in a very fundamental way, right? And so when that conception of the world is challenged, then how the mind reacts to it is important, right? So, and I will outline to you what in our tradition is considered a path or a recipe to gain success in this reading. So, and related to that, we had a couple of questions at the end which I could not get to, and I will sort of briefly, I didn't answer them directly, but I will briefly touch upon some of those points. So we talked also last time, I told you another empowering thing. I said there is a great power within every human, right? Remember that? There is a great power hidden in every human. Okay. So how will this great power manifest? We all have notions of how we see great power in the world. How does this great power manifest? So let me give you one example. Normally, we talk about the most powerful country, the most powerful man in the big world, etc. The power I am talking about is slightly different. It is qualitatively a different power. This power manifested in someone like Sri Adi Shankar. Okay. Anybody know approximately what time he lived? Ballpark.
300 BC. 300 BC.
Dates are varying up to 700 AD is what is. Okay. So let us take the most recent time. Let's say 800, 700 odd. How many years has it been since his life? 14 centuries? 1400 years? Ballpark? Okay. Now, there are many things that people write. I'm in the academic profession. We are in the business of publishing. We write papers. Okay. And we're very curious to know how long these papers will attract attention of our peers and how long they will be cited. Okay. So we have this notion of a lifetime of an article. I would hazard that even the most brilliant of my peers, the lifetime of their articles is not more than a century. If that. Okay. So if someone was to have said something that has resonated after 14 centuries, okay, just think of that power. Okay. Anything that most people say is not even regarded beyond the minute they leave the place of the conversation, let alone their lifetime. So this is a different qualitative kind of power. And why is it powerful? It is powerful because it talks about eternal things, things that are eternally important to man, not about some small, stuff. So the scope of that thinking is very high. And then last time we also talked about this thing. I said there is something that distinguishes our Sanatana Dharma from other religions. Does anyone remember what that is? What is the distinguishing feature that I pointed out?
The religions have the same book, and in our religion it's allowed to interpret differently according to the time frame.
Right. So there is a Shruti and a Smriti. There is a distinction between the eternal and that which is temporal. That's not there in any other religion. So this distinction is called Nitya is that which is eternal, Anitya is that which is temporal. This Nitya Anitya Viveka, the discrimination between the two is very important. It's called Viveka. Normally we call it Vivek. We say, the word Vivek is used in Hindi in a very colloquial sense. But in Vedanta, this Vivek has a very special meaning. And it means the ability to distinguish between that which is eternal and that which is temporal. Nitya Anitya Vastu. It is in fact one of the characteristics of the prerequisite for studying Advaita. Now the Bhagavad Gita itself is one of the primary texts from which Advaita Vedanta derives. It's called one of the prasthAnatrayI, means one of the 3 points of departure for Advaita. And so having that awareness is very useful. Okay, so now we talked about empowering things. Now suppose I have a formula to get this great power. Is great power what you say? Is anyone in disagreement that to say something that resonates over 14 centuries is a great power or not? Anyone? Any disagreement? No disagreement. It is a great power. Suppose I had a formula to get this great power. Right? What is the thing that comes with great power? Colloquially, what is with great power comes? Responsibility. Thank you. Fantastic. With great power comes great responsibility. Now let us look at a power that you are all familiar with. Let's take nuclear power. Okay? So the technology to make a nuclear device, whether for peaceful or worse still for harmful purposes, is closely guarded, is it not? If you work in the Department of Energy, there are different levels of clearance: L clearance, Q clearance, top secret clearance. We all accept that a matter which concerns great power must be carefully guarded. But when it comes to our own culture and our own scriptures, are we so careful? Are we? No, we have not been. undeniably, right? It was the case that people were careful, right? There was a time when people were careful. But once that knowledge got lost, it has fallen off, right? But there's a great beauty about this, which is that this knowledge is so deeply embedded in the scripture itself that even if someone just read it, they could not crack the code. That is the beauty of how it is encapsulated, right? It is hidden in plain sight, is what they say. Okay? But nevertheless, that is the direction or inclination from which all our sort of adhikari, this question of who is qualified, that comes from there. It comes from a point of saying that this is a matter which is of great power. Great power can be used for either good or evil, right? And therefore, with great power comes great responsibility. And so therefore, that is why those prescriptions of the qualifications come. Right? I hope, does that help a little bit? It is difficult for someone to imagine that there is a power greater than nuclear power, but there is. It is much greater than nuclear power. So let me give you an example. You see this, let me tell you in my experience how great this power is. If you take the sciences, right, physical sciences, they deal with the empirical world. Vedic knowledge is not contrary to this at all. The physical laws are also a dharma. They are also a dharma. They are a dharma that pertains to the physical world. Vedic dharma does not contradict this. It doesn't say this is wrong at all. It is completely at peace with it. But its realm of inquiry is in a different space. Okay? If you take the Yoga Sutra, its realm of inquiry is the mind. It's not the physical world. Okay? So now if you take the closest science, are there any psychologists in the audience? No. Okay. So nobody's going to be offended. The closest we have is modern psychology. Now, if you actually study yogic science of psychology, you read the Yoga Sutra, you practice the Yoga Sutra, you understand the Yoga Sutra, you will realize that modern psychology, to give you an analogy, is like little children in their diapers playing in a sandlot. Whereas the yogis are running around like Usain Bolt on the racetrack. That is the difference. I'm not just saying this to make you feel good. No. Okay. It is good to know what is great in one's heritage, but you must also practice and know it. Right? Otherwise, it's useless. Right? If you just have a treasure that's locked under key under your bed and you never open it and never spend it, it's useless. But it is there. This you must know. And so, the powers that we talk about when we talk about powerful, it relates to those realms. They are even beyond the conception of the physical, right? But it's there. And so that's something that's very important to keep in mind. So now moving on to this question of, okay, we talked about the first question. I said, okay, we've got these great intelligences in you and we want to study the Gita. So there is something that a logical way. How do I logically proceed? What should I accept, right? I told you you're going to read many things in the Gita that are contrary to your day-to-day conception, maybe, right? So in our thing, we have a concept called pramanam. It's a piece of logic. Pramanam means a valid means of cognition. What is a valid means of knowing something? You must know this, right? Otherwise, I can say anything and there will be no end to it. You understand? So now each of our philosophical systems has a definition of what pramana is. I will adopt the Yoga Sutra definition of pramana. Really, it is quite valid and very useful and relevant. In pramanam, it says there are three kinds of pramana. One is pratyaksha, anumana, agama. So what is pratyaksha? Pratyaksha literally means that which is before my eyes. Aksha is eye, pratyaksha. But one must understand this in a slightly subtle way. It means that which comes from my direct experience. Right? Ultimately, whatever anybody tells you, you cannot deny your direct experience. Yes or no? Yogic science and Vedic science is very, very advanced. They don't go about trying to fool you. People have all kinds of wrong notions that religion is about befuddling people and this, no, not at all. Not in the not in the one that I know. Okay? Pratyaksha is very important. Direct experience. What is your direct experience? That's very important. That is one valid meaning. Not the only one. Second one is anumanam, by inference or analogy. So tomorrow you meet a person, the guy puts his hand in the fire, he burns his hand, then you don't put your hand in the fire. Right? By inference. It doesn't have to happen to me, but I can infer from this that fire is going to hurt me. Second means of knowing. Third means of knowing, this can be an impediment to some people. Agamaha. Agama means the scriptures. Okay? Scripture is a valid means of knowing. So what does it mean? It means that when you go through life, you are going to have a provisional acceptance of what has been said in these things. Right? You may not fully understand it, but unless you are open to the possibility that someday your direct experience may accord with what is said here, it is very difficult to proceed on the path. And this is true actually for all studies. If you are directing a student for a PhD, if this PhD student has no faith that what you are saying or what is in the textbook or what is in a research paper can someday be understood by him or her, there's no hope. There is faith in everything. There is more faith in science than people would like to believe. Okay? A faithless person is lost. In whatever activity you undertake, you must have some faith. Okay? But that faith does not have to be blind belief. Right? What yoga tells you is, by repeatedly practicing the various anushasans that are given, your direct experience can mirror that which is given in the scripture. That belief must be there. That faith must be there. Right? If we proceed with that faith, success is guaranteed. Nobody will fail. You see what I'm saying? But if doubt starts to arise, then the question must be, how should I resolve this doubt? Right? And that is the only reason for having an intermediary between the scripture and you. It is the intermediary who resolves the samshaya doubt. That's all there is to it. Right? So, as we go through all our readings, you are going to encounter concepts that are contrary to your normal thinking, but all say keeping an open mind. You put it very simply. This is a beautiful way of putting things. Simply keep an open mind to what is coming up, right? But deeper than that is also a faith that what is said here comes from a perspective that we may not understand yet. The word is yet. Meaning someday you will, right? It is not that you'll never understand it. That's not what is said. Is that fair game? Okay. All right. So then just moving on. Last time we talked about what is the subject matter, and there's just two things I wanted to say. It relates very much to something in our Hindu tradition called Purushartha. Okay. Does anyone know what this word Purushartha is? What is Purushartha? Purusha Artha. So what does Purusha mean? Yeah. So in this context, we can say human being. Broadly, human being. Let us be gender neutral. Right? Human being. So what is the purpose of a human being? Right? It's actually a question that should animate us because we are living our life day after day. Right? But it's not something that we are very comfortable asking sometimes, right? What is the purpose of the human life? Right? That is Purushartha. And in our traditional thing, we break it into four: Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Right? Everyone is familiar with that, I think, right? Dharma, Artha, Kama. Now, this particular text deals primarily with Dharma and Moksha. Okay? That doesn't mean that Kama and Artha are unimportant. There are very useful texts. There is Kama Sutra for studying about Kama. There is Arthashastra for studying about Artha. They are also important. Very important. One thing I want to say last time when we talked about the Preyaha and Shreyaha, although the ancients recognize that purely satisfying the senses is not going to lead to bliss, they did not advocate that you should live the life of an ascetic. Not for everyone. Okay? In fact, in our daily prayers, we say, in one of the afternoon prayers, Pashyema Sharadashatam, Jivema Sharadashatam, Nandama Sharadashatam, Bodama Sharadashatam, Bhavama Sharadashatam, Prabravama Sharadashatam, Ajitasyama Sharadashatam. What it means is, first one, maybe live for 100 years. Jivema Sharadashatam. Pashyema, let us maybe see for 100 years. Maybe have vision. Right? All vision, yogic vision, external vision. Pashyema, Jivema. Nandama, maybe delight for 100 years. Modama, maybe enjoy for 100 years. Right? And then maybe speak, maybe respond, all these things. Maybe listen. So the notion of enjoyment is not contrary, right? The yogic tantra that they devise, tantra is merely a means. It's a way. Like you use GPS to go from here to Devon, it's a tantra. Similarly, the 3 shlokas I told you at the beginning is a tantra. It's a tantra of yogis to enjoy those 100 years fully, right? But how? Without any sorrow. That is the key. How to do that, right? Things that make other people sorrowful, how to make oneself immune to and be ever joyous. That is the mystery that is being explained. So, with that, we will jump into the main text. Okay? So, little preamble, and so we are going to start chapter 2. Okay. द्वितीयोऽध्यायः संजय उवाच तं तथा कृपयाविष्टम् अश्रुपूर्णाकुलेक्षणं विषीदन्तमिदं वाक्यम् उवाच मधुसूदनः. To him thus overpowered by compassion, tearful, distressed and desponding, Sri Krishna spoke the following words to Arjuna. Sri Bhagavan uvacha कुतस्त्वा कश्मलमिदं विषमे समुपस्थितम् अनार्य अजुष्टम् अस्वर्ग्यम् अकीर्तिकरमर्जुन. The blessed Lord said, whence, O Arjuna, has this timidity, unwelcome to noble spirits, not productive of reaching heaven, and disgraceful, come upon you in this crisis? So now the verse 3, this verse I recommend we memorize. So now Bhagavan is continuing to Arjuna. Vaibhyam masma gamaha partha naitattvai upapadhyate kshudram hridaya daurbalyam yaktvottishta parantapam. Vaibhyam masma gamaha. Let not your being towards impotence. The Lord is blistering in his criticism. Right? There's nothing more insulting to a man than to call him impotent. Klaibyam masmagama. Let not don't be an impotent. Right? This does not become you. This is not becoming of you. Naitattvai upapadhyate. This is not becoming of you. Kshudram hridaya daurbalyam. Hridaya daurbalyam is weakness of heart. Right? The small-minded weakness of heart. Tyaktva. Give it up. Uttishta. Stand up. Parantapa. Oh, scorcher. Very powerful words. And these are worth memorizing because if ever you feel a little overwhelmed, this is like a tonic. If you have it, you will stand up and be ready to face any obstacle. Right? So that's why I strongly recommend this for memorization. It's one of the gems. Among the treasury, it's a great gem. So then I'm going to read verse 4 to 9, just the English translation. Arjuna said, how shall I, Krishna, fight back with shafts in war Bhishma and Drona, who deserve my reverence? Indeed, it were better for me to live on alms in the world and avoid slaying my honored elders. Killing these people who seek to gain ends of their own, I should be tasting blood-stained enjoyments. Nor do we know which is better for us, victory over them or their victory over us. The very persons destroying whom we should not care to live are standing in front of us, the followers of Dhritarashtra. They are the Dhartarashtra. So last time, the summary I gave, I said that the mind of even great yogis such as Arjuna, who is the son of Indra, who obtained divine weapons and Pashupata Astra from Shiva, it can get deluded and confused at times of great sorrow. Right? It's not unreasonable. This sorrow is very genuine for the deluded mind. Right? And then Arjuna advances several cogent and powerful arguments for not fighting. The dharma is definitely difficult to ascertain in those circumstances. What is the right thing to do under those difficult circumstances? And the thing is, this mind that we have is a great rationalizer. Its actually only ultimate purpose at the end of life, you will see, is to rationalize your behavior. Okay. It will always paint, memory is not, we think memory is 100%, memory is not 100%. If you go back and think about an incident, we always repaint the incident so we come out in a good light. We call that unconscious bias. Right? We always have to come out on top. Okay? That's a very careful with mind, very tricky. Always it will try to make the ego's action seem reasonable and appropriate. But sometimes, when the little objectivity and we're able to stand back and look at things from what we call the buddhi perspective, then we see, okay, maybe in this case I did not act. That's the greatest opening to wisdom. When we take the resort to buddhi, which is a part of the. So as we go along, you learn the Vedantic theory of personality. What we call mind in English. This English language is a very difficult language to translate spiritual things because the words are not clearly defined. In Sanskrit, the mind is classified in 4 parts: manas, chitta, ahankara, buddhi. 4 different functions of the mind. Manas is importer and exporter of sensations. Sankalpa vikalpa, it is capable of thinking and also fantasy and also taking one side and moving to the other side of an opinion. It takes opinions that vacillate. This is the function of the mind. That's mostly what people know. It imports and exports senses. It can take this kind of sankalpa vikalpa. And it is capable of thought and fantasy. Behind that, there is a function of the mind that is aham karomi, I do. Hence ahankar. It is the I feeling. It attaches that personal experience. When you're having experience, that I am seeing this. That is one very specific function of the mind. Third function of the mind is chitta. Chitta is like a memory, a record. So the very fact that we remember this happened to me yesterday is chitta. It's a memory. Fourth function is buddhi. Okay. Buddhi is the decisive, discriminative faculty of mind. Okay. These 4 functions are very useful to analyze the mind using this, much more better than any psychological theory you would find. Okay. These are very, very useful. And if you learn to use these things and analyze your own thinking through this, it will be very powerful. So this ability to stand back from the I sense and objectively look from the buddhi is what is man's salvation. Because if you cannot do that, you are no better than an animal. Animals are actually better at doing their dharma than man. Most times. See, let's take an example. There is a lion and there is a deer. What does the lion do to the deer? Kill it. Kill it and eat it. That's its dharma. Now you take a man. Some men will take a cow and slaughter it and eat it. Some men will care for the cow nicely, right, and take its milk. What is the difference? Man has a choice. That animal, it is doing his dharma. Man's dharma, he has to think and decide. Right? That's why when man behaves in a very adharmic way, we say he's worse than an animal. Because at least the poor animal didn't have a choice. You had a choice. Does it make sense? Yeah. So that is the buddhi. Buddhi is very important in this context. Now, he has said all this. Now this next verse that is coming, verse 7, very, very important. So let us read both the Sanskrit and the English. Karpanya dosho apahasta swabhavaha prichhami tvam dharma sammuda chetaha yat shreyaha syan nishchitam bruhi tanme Shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapanna. So, karpanya dosha, my inborn nature has been overwhelmed by the pain of faint-heartedness. Karpanya dosha is faint-heartedness. Apahata swabhav, my swabhav is my nature, my inborn nature. My nature has been overwhelmed by faint-heartedness. Prichami tvam dharma sammuda cheta. Dharma sammuda. Muda is confused, right? Dharma sammuda. I'm confused about what is dharma. Right? I'm confused as regards to the law of righteousness. So I'm asking you, okay, what is he going to ask him? Yat shreyaha. Remember this word again, shreyaha, right? Shreyaha prayer. What is better for me and everybody? What is this shreya? Right? Syat nishchitam, determined, without any doubt, without any fudging. Tell me clearly, what is this shreya? Right? Tanme bruhi, tell me that. He is addressing Sri Krishna. Shishyaha te aham. This is a very powerful word. I am your disciple. Right? I am your disciple. Shadhi, teach me. Mam tvam prapanna. Teach me who has surrendered to you. Now, this is a very key point. Again, it comes back to that adhikari. Right? Arjuna got this upadesh from Sri Krishna because he said this. Okay? Sri Krishna didn't go and address Duryodhana. He did not stand ubayor madhye and address everybody. It's a very key point. Because he knows that these words would be wasted on them. Already we have seen Duryodhana's behavior in the Mahabharata. When they came to aid from Sri Krishna, he went and sat at his head, thinking that he will get the first audience. But Arjuna sat at the feet. And so the moment Sri Krishna's eyes opened, he saw Arjuna. Right? So the very point is that without a certain humility in the mind, this treasure will not be opened up for us. Right? And so this verse is very key. Without this attitude, if this attitude is there, the entire treasures of the Gita open up and it becomes very simple. But if the attitude is not there, then it is very difficult. Right? That's why again and again they say that. Then he says, goes on, I do not see that an unrivaled and prosperous kingdom on earth and overlordship over the denizens of heaven will dispel the grief that has scorched my senses. Having spoken thus to Sri Krishna, the valiant Arjuna added, I shall never fight. Then he became silent. So he said his piece. He said, this is my reasoning, but then he acknowledged that I'm confused. My inborn nature is confused. I'm being faint-hearted, and I surrender to you. You please tell me. Okay? And of course, his surrender was also to the highest intelligence. So he was wise where he surrendered. Right? If you go and surrender to any other person, that may not have the same effect. Right? Okay, so then what happens? Now, let us read the next one. This is Sanjay Uvacha. This is now Sanjay is continuing. Tamuvacha Rishikesha Prahasanniva Bharata Senayor Ubhayor Madhye Vishidantam Idam Vachaha. Tam Uvacha, to him said. Who said Rishikesh? Rishikesha is another name for Sri Krishna. Prahasanniva Bharata, as if laughing. Okay. So it is like many of you have children, and when your child is very young, they will sometimes go into the room and come out and say, Mommy, Daddy, there are monsters under the bed, this big monster there, I'm very scared. So you know this. So what does the parent say? As if, really beta, come, let's see where the monsters are, laughing. Right? So you are laughing because you know the truth. Similarly, Sri Krishna is laughing because he knows the truth. Right? He is laughing, yeah, okay, sure. You don't want to fight. Let's see. So this you must keep in mind. He is not laughing at him. He is laughing at the fact that because he knows the truth, this is a play. Right? It's a fantasy. It's a mirage, just like the monsters are a mirage to the children. Right? So by putting yourself into your day-to-day situations, you can try to understand what would it be like if the monsters that we human beings fear were all dispelled. Right? Okay? What would that feel like? That would be the state of Sri Krishna. So laughingly, he is saying this. Okay. And what does he say? Senayor Ubhayor between the two armies, who was sitting despondent, Vishidantam. This Arjuna, so Sri Krishna said these words. What did he say? Now here we are starting the most powerful verse. This one is also marked for memorization. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Ashocyananvashocastvam Prajna. You would like to recite? Why don't we try start right away? Ashocyananvashocastvam
Asocyananvashocastvam
Prajnavadanscha bhashase
Prajnavadanscha bhashase
Gatasun Agatasunscha
Gatasunagatasumscha
Nanushocanti Panditaha.
Nanushocanti pandita.
So this is a very powerful verse, and again it will challenge our normal day-to-day way of behaving. So what does Sri Bhagavan say? He says, Ashocyan Anvashochahatvam. Those who are not worthy of being grieved for are the Ashocyan. Okay? Anvashocha, you are grieving for them. Prajnavadanscha bhasha, yet you are speaking words as though of someone very wise. Gatasun, those who have departed. Agatasun, those who have not yet departed. For both of them, the wise Pandita don't grieve. Just think about this. Also, think about the Gita is by page 27, it gets to the point. That's to the chase. There is no wishy-washy around. Right? This is a pivotal verse. Okay, does it accord with your pratyaksha? No, no. You have to be honest. When people pass on, the average person feels grief. Right? So this is where this honesty is very important. If you will just read it like a novel and get to the end, there's no point. Then you might as well have chai samosa and be done with it. Okay? You have to apply this to your praman. This is in the agama, but it's not in your pratyaksha. It could be in your anumana. That is, by looking at someone who is unmoved under those circumstances, one may infer that there is something there. Right? But again, let us think again. Is Sri Krishna just being a callous person? I mean, think of it. You go to somebody's bereavement, and if you just say this, right? What do people think of it? Huh? Yeah. Is Sri Krishna like that, you think?
It's more about they being worthy of
Then
you don't
are there others who are worthy of his grief? That's not the implication. He says
that's not
no, because he's saying the gone and the not gone. Neither of them. And you raised a good point, and I'm glad you're thinking analytically. That's very good, right? So it is not just that. Anyone, the whole world he has cut into two pieces. Those who have departed, those who have not departed.
it's like India, Pakistan soldier dies, we don't grieve. Our Indian soldier dies, we do grieve. So it's not that they're not worthy of it, but I'm not grieving for them.
But
I just give an example.
right, but Sri Krishna is not saying that. Is he saying you should grieve for the Indian soldier? No way.
No.
Yes, please. Yes.
Can you say it again?
Yeah.
Can you इसका दोबारा अर्थ कर देंगे आप?
Just repeat the.
हाँ इसका दोबारा क्योंकि थोड़ा सा complicated है.
Yes, good. Thank you, sir. Ashocyan anvashocastvam prajnavadanscha bhashase. You are grieving for those who call for no grief. At the same time, you utter words of wisdom. The wise grieve neither for the dead nor for the living.
So the first line, what does it exactly mean? The next line we got it. Wise grieve for nobody.
Right.
The first line, what does it mean?
So what it means is he had a long discourse of Arjuna, right? He gave these seemingly cogent arguments. He said, if I fight, the Kula Dharma will go, the women will become, there'll be miscegenation, the Pitras will not get their stuff. He gave a long set of arguments, rationalization. That sounds like a very intelligent person. It sounds very reasonable. But Sri Krishna is saying, your reasons are not the right reasons, right? Okay? He's basically, you're seemingly arguing on the side of Dharma, but that's not the right Dharma, right? And he says, if you're truly wise, it will not matter to you whether they are passing on or not, whether they pass or not pass. Does that?
So I think the first line also contains the prahasan or the sarcasm component.
I would say I wouldn't even say sarcasm. As I said, you're not sarcastic to your children when you tell them about monsters.
Yes.
Right? You understand their fear, but you don't see it as that big a deal. That's the main thing.
I think the interpretation in some way in English at least it says they don't deserve your grief.
Oh.
People who are not worthy or they don't deserve, right?
Right,
So
right.
it may be that which may be causing confusion.
Deserve is wrong. There is no translation. So this translation says the wise grieve neither for the dead. You grieve for those who call for no grief, right? But that
So that can be misinterpreted.
yes. But basically, what Sri Krishna is saying is that the transition of the body from the living to what we call dead is not worthy of grief. That's what he's saying. Yes.
How do you account human sentiments?
That's right. That's right.
How do they reconcile with each other?
We'll come to that. Yes, absolutely. So, for this, we can take recourse to the yogic science. Okay. So, and lady here brought up a very good point. I will use that point, which is she said, we grieve if Pakistani soldier dies, we don't grieve if you're from India, but if Indian soldier. So, what is the thing? The root is we grieve for those people whom we are attached to. Think about this. It is only if you have spent a lot of time thinking about that person do you grieve for. The more time you spend thinking about them, the more rental space they have occupied in your mind, the longer your attachment, the deeper your attachment. When that breaks, you grieve. That is the cause of grief, right? But if that is not there, the attachment is not there. I mean, think of it. You take any person in your life who is gone. Let us take their characteristics. They have a name. Let's say their name starts with S. Okay. Let's say their age is 72, and let us say they are female. There are thousands, probably millions from the dawn of Earth. 108 billion human beings have passed on. Okay. There's so many people with the name S of that gender and that age who are passing also. You don't sit and grieve about them. Why not? You're not attached to them. Right? So that which you have spent your mind on, you get attached to, and that causes grief. Right? Now, there is another thing. That's why it's a very powerful verse. So why do we feel grief? Why do you feel sad? So let's take an example. Okay, suppose death was nothing but going to Cancun. Okay, and in Cancun there is very nice weather. There's good drinks, and there are a lot of things that are easy on the eye. If somebody is going to Cancun, you've never been to Cancun. Okay, you've never been to Cancun. You don't know how to go to Cancun. So if that was that, would you grieve? So you only grieve because you don't know what's beyond there. You have no clue what that jiva is experiencing after leaving the body. Right? And you have also thought that what is here is the best. This is most important. You think that this is very good. Yes or no? Otherwise, I mean, come on, if a guy was in prison in North Korea and he then went to Cancun from there, and you are living with him in prison in North Korea, and oh my God, he's gone to Cancun, let's all cry. No, but it's actually a jolly place compared to the prison in North Korea. So you got used to thinking that the prison in North Korea is the best place, right? You can't imagine anything else. Yes, question.
Yeah, it's not like you're thinking of their side, it's from Separation.
Huh. So, okay, you're not even that altruistic. You don't care about that.
Yeah.
I like it. Fair enough. So then,
That person was giving me soup in some sense, and now that is gone. I'm deprived of that soup because they are separate.
that's very wonderful. So let us think about this. Has any person in your life given you unalloyed sukh? Let's be brutally honest. No, it's not possible. It is not possible. It is not possible for one person to give you unalloyed sukh. Unalloyed, meaning pure, without any mixture. Right? This is very unlikely. Okay.
My dog
So, huh?
My dog is.
Your dog is giving you. Right. And so on both counts, purely logically, now will you rethink your answer? Have I raised some doubts in your mind as to why you feel weak? No, he's not convinced. Okay. So, nevertheless, as I said, pratyaksha anumana agama. You don't have to take my word for it. This is what Sri Krishna has said. You have an issue, go. You can fight it. Okay. But as I said right at the beginning, without devotion and without the attitude of Arjun, I told you, the things that are going to come here are going to challenge your fundamental notions of life. Okay, that is why I said before we start prescribing these medicines to other people, you have to be a certified doctor. It will upset. It can contrary make the thinking of other people very contrary. Right? But there is nothing wrong in the statement. This is not the statement of a callous person. I can tell you that. Now, and there is a reason for that. And the reason for it is as follows. In the practice of yoga and in the other Shruti, it is well established that one can become aware of the states following death. It is not a closed door to everyone. Okay? When that wisdom dawns, right, then the analogy that I gave you may become a possibility. That what you think is a very jolly place here is maybe like a prison in North Korea. Okay? And that what one can reach beyond would be different. Right?
So, but there are two things, Swarg and Nark. So, if you're going to Swarg, then it is good. But if you're going to Nark, then
Yes, but these are also concepts yet in your mind.
yeah.
Right? So again, you can apply that as you wish, right? And we will come to this point. So Swarga and Nark is very good because later we will come to the Sri Krishna will give more gyan on that also. But nevertheless, I mean, I agree with you. We have these two concepts, Swarga and Nark, and there is a notion that yes, so it could be worse than the prison in North Korea. It's a possibility. Okay, any further questions? So, are we willing to accept, based on what we have discussed now, that there could be something to this? Or are we dismissing it out of hand? In which case, there is no more discussion. So, definitely there is something to this. Okay, it is talking about something that may be immediately beyond the realm of experience, but provisionally, if one accepts and moves forward, there is something to gain for sure. So, let us go on and see why he says this. Right? See? Next verse, 12 also is worth memorizing. Natvevaham jatu nasam.
Natvevaham jatu nasam.
Natvam neme janadhipaha.
Natvam neme janadhipa.
Na chaiva na bhavishyamaha.
Na chaiva na bhavishyamaha.
Sarve vayamatah param.
Sarve vayamatah param.
So the verse has four negations. Natu eva aham jatu nasam. Never at any time have I not been. Natvam, nor you, nor these janadhipas, these rulers. Na chaiva, and never is it that we will never be in the future. Bhavishyamaha is a Sanskrit verb form that is in the future. Okay? Sarve Vayamata. We are all eternally existent. That's the right word. So the translation here goes, never at any time have I been not, neither you nor these rulers of men, and never shall we all cease to be. Okay, does that seem a pretty radical idea? You know, yes, it is. You're probably not going to find this in any other book, right? So he is really challenging your thinking, and as a kid, we had to memorize this verse, and it caused a lot of, I was fortunate enough to have some good friends when I was in school, and we used to debate this verse and try to understand it. One thing I will say is, these verses cannot be understood fully intellectually, meaning through the intellect. Right? The deepest truths in Sanatana Dharma and in any religious form are experiential. They are not intellectual. You cannot always argue this thing through from a given frame of reference. I'll tell you why. Okay. It is a situation where all these truths are trying to show you an exit sign. Okay, so let's say you're in a cinema hall and the cinema hall is burning. Right? You want to get out of there. Right? There's an exit sign. And the exit means you should go in this direction. That doesn't mean if you cling on to the exit, will you live, will you survive? No, obviously. Exit is also going to burn at some point. Right? But they're a direction. Right? They're meant to push your mind into a certain way of thinking. And the ultimate culmination of this understanding is not through the intellect, but it's experience. But nevertheless, what it says is true. Okay? So that can seem a bit paradoxical, but if you bear with it, it will become, I think, more clear as we go on. So, never at any time have I been not. So that means that, let's understand this in the yogic mental personality picture. So that means that let's think of our life, right? So I call myself, you call yourself some name, right? What is your earliest memory of you? As a kid, some young age, right? And that's all we know about ourselves, right? We think that is me. Right? So this part of the mind that is called ahankar, it has taken root, right? And it has given us a memory at some point in the chitta. And it says that from this point on, everything that happens to this body, this is me. Now, what Sri Krishna is saying is that the true you, right? When I say I, it's a limited I, right? That this body is a limitation, right? For instance, I don't think of this as my body, right? Do you agree with that? Where does my body end? My sense of I ends somewhere here, right? If I tweak her here, it doesn't hurt. Should we try it? So my sense of I is clearly defined by who tweaks what, right? So this is a limited sense of I, and this is what the story you told us about your life, right? Has anybody? And if you said something different, people might send you off to the funny farm. Right? They will put a white jacket on you and say, it's okay, it's okay. So, but obviously, Sri Krishna is not somebody in that caliber, right? So, what he is saying is that the mind has to start to refine itself and through the practice of dhyana, etc., come to the understanding of who the real you is. Okay? Right? And because and he will tell you. So let us suppose for the moment, let's provisionally take the I that I know. The I that I know at some point became conscious of this body, young age, 4, 5, had lots of sweets, etc., had a happy childhood, got weak, ears were pulled a lot, and now it's landed up at this stage and reading Bhagavad Gita. Correct? Okay, very good. So then Sri Krishna will now offer some very beautiful arguments as to what perspectives you can take and what conclusions you can draw. So now let's see, why does he say this? Why does he say that it's not that I never was, nor you, nor all these rulers, and it's not that we'll never be again. Right? Okay. Why does he say that? He says, 13, And this is actually, I think, a long set of memorizing here. But
13 is in the sheet.
in the sheet, yeah. So let us. Dehinosmin yatha dehe.
Dehinosmin yatha dehe.
Kaumaram yauvanam jara.
Kaumaram yauvanam jara.
Tatha dehantara praptihi.
Tatha dehantara praptir.
Dhirastatra na muhyate.
Dhirastatra na muhyati.
Dehinaha. Okay. So Dehinaha means the embodied self, the self that has a body, like that thinks it has a body. Okay. Yatha, just as in the body, Dehe, in the body, it experiences what? Kumar is young, very balance. Yauvana, youth. Jara, old age. Right? Just as this embodied self experiences very early childhood, youth, teenagers, old age, in the same way, when it sees the ending of the body, the antara prapti, the wise are not deluded by it. Okay. So let's give an example. Everybody buys clothes. You have a favorite pair of jeans. You buy them sometime. They're new. You like to wear them a lot. Right? They look pretty cool. Then they kind of wear out a little bit. Then they become your favorite old pair of jeans. You love to wear them on weekends. And then one day it becomes so shabby that your parents or somebody, please, why don't you wear something? I mean, I know that it's all fashionable to wear these shredded ones in tatters, but really, I earn enough to cover your body with clothing, so please discard it. Right? So at that point you feel a little bad, but you're not going to, break down in tears. Right? It's okay, just a pair of jeans. So this has now redefined the notion of art. Right? Because after all, okay, when we say, if somebody clicks my ear, right, what do I say? Ouch, that hurt. You're hurting my ear, right? You're hurting some part of my body, right? It is my body, means it belongs to me. If something belongs to me, it cannot be me. Anything that is an object in language cannot become the subject. If it is my body, it cannot be me. If it's my genes, it cannot be me, right? You understand? Language and how we think. Right? Okay, let's take another example. One day a foot gets gangrene, the guy saws it off, right? Okay. Yeah, people still survive without a foot. Did the eye vanish suddenly? No. But they do have, they may say, I have phantom pain. That's another interesting point. But the point is that even when very large parts of the physical body are rendered dysfunctional, inoperative, the eyes, look at Stephen Hawking, right? So the fundamental thing that we learn from this is the eye is not the body. Okay? So if the eye is not the body, then why should losing it cause you a lot of grief? Because the memory of losing it has been lost. Right? There is no memory of having lost it. That is why it is fearful. Right? So think about this point. Right? Anyway, so the genes analogy is a good one. I think. So what I'm saying is that so when we throw away the genes, we don't grieve about it. So similarly, if we were used to dropping the body many times, like your genes, having established that it is only the physical manifestation but not the eye itself, then if you had done it repeatedly, you would not have any fear of it, right?
Is that implied here?
No, that is just my blabbering.
I is I, right? I is man.
Uh-huh. Okay. Then next verse. This is a very powerful one again. I think 14 is also recommended for. And Viraj, you can remind me when I should stop. Probably probably right here after this verse. 4:40. We go till 5, right? That will give some time for questions. Okay, very good. So last verse we'll read today. Matra sparshastu kaunteya.
Matra sparshastu kaunteya.
Shitoshna sukha dukkhadah.
Shitoshna sukha dukkhadah.
Agamapayino anityaha.
Agamapayino anityaha.
Tan stitikshasva bharata. Now, one note on pronunciation. When I say when the double visarga comes, it is very common, particularly in the North Indian languages, to not emphasize the aha. But in Sanskrit, you should. So it is sukha dukkhadaha, right? Not dakkada. Don't stop there. Same way when we say janadhipaha, right? Natvevaham jatu natvam neme janadhipaha. That is the correct way to say it in Sanskrit. It should not be eaten up. So, matra sparshastu kaunteya, shitoshna sukha dukkhadaha, agama apayino anityaha, tan stitikshasva bharata. This is a very beautiful verse. It says that the contacts of senses with their objects. Matra, matraha. Matraha, in this sense, the senses are thought of as measurers. Okay, think of measure. We use a ruler to measure something, right? A ruler measures something. So similarly, it's the senses that measure your physical world. Think about it, right? I smell something; it gives me a way of measuring in the sense realm, smell realm, right? I taste something; I have shadrasa, 6 tastes, right? Shadrasa, Ayurveda. 6 tastes. It helps you measure the span of food that you eat. Sight. With sight, you truly measure. Right? He's close to me, he's far away from me. Breath. Pranayam, you measure. You measure energy through pranayam. And through hearing. Through hearing, you measure directions. Right? You measure space through hearing. Okay, so matraha, these are the measurers. Through their contact, sparshastu kaunteya, son of Kunti, shitoshna sukha dukkhadaha. Because of these contacts of the senses, these objects, their objects cause cold and heat. Shita ushna. Shita is cold, ushna is heat. Now this is just one example. Obviously, it causes a lot of other opposite reactions. You have to infer that for all the other senses, there will be other opposites. So the key here is opposite feelings, right? Agama apayino anitya. These come and go. Obviously, in summer you feel hot and in winter you feel cold, right? Same you. But because you're measuring the sense of touch, through the sense of touch you're measuring the world, you feel hot and cold. Those you must endure. Okay? He says, don't be swayed by them. They come and go, they are fleeting, so please endure. Okay, I think we'll stop here, and maybe this is a nice time to take any other questions. We have about 15 minutes or so.
Can one infer from this that things are impermanent?
Right.
So things that are impermanent, one must learn to. So I'm sure later on it comes to these opposites, right? I think at some point both extreme joy, extremes are their opposites, right? Twins in some sense.
That's right.
And at some point, I think probably somewhere I read it, you should treat them equally.
Yes. Right.
So from this particular verse, it simply says these are transient things. So you must learn to endure.
Right. Because and why? So remember in the beginning we talked about this nitya anitya viveka. So anything that has a beginning must have an end. Okay. So at some point you didn't feel hot, and then you started feeling hot. At some point you were not feeling cold, and you started feeling now it will stop at some point. So because of their temporal nature, the transient nature, his point is later he will point out that the true self is unchanging. Right. So the true I must not belong to this realm through this perception. The mode of perceiving gives rise to these changes. And another way to think of it is that this is actually there in many other faith traditions, that the truth lies between the opposites. Right? Okay. In many of the Zen koans, you will find a similar kind of expression. That the truth does not lie on one side or the other. It is non-dual. Opposite means there is a dual, the dual nature to it. The truth is not dual. It doesn't have one attribute and the opposite attribute. And those things that have these kind of attribute and opposite attribute have a beginning and end. So that is yeah, you're right. So that is the whole beginning of the mind to sort of start to see. Yes, please.
In today's, if you ask us next class, what was it? So this is our going to say this गतागत जो है जो नहीं है. तो थोड़ा सा और लेकिन हम सभी इस मृत्यु के इस चक्कर में सभी लोग जाते हैं. सभी अनुभव भी करते हैं मृत्यु को भी अनुभव करते हैं. तो और दुख सबको हो रहा है. इससे कैसे निकला जाए ये गीता में लिखा है. इसको अब थोड़ा कितना भी निकल सकती है लिखा है. तो इसको आप थोड़ा सा और जो हम समझ सकते हैं उस भाषा में थोड़ा समझाने की कृपा करें.
Namaste, Rakshakji. You asked a very big thing of a very small person. But I will try to say, I think the analogy of the monsters under the bed is a good analogy. What Sri Krishna is doing is, he is taking us into this room where there are fears and grief about certain things. And he's saying, stay with me for a while, and I will explain to you the ways by which you can see through. Okay, let me give you another example. Let us say we go to a movie. And the movies, as you know, they are a tremendous assault on the senses. That's why sensor sound and all that, right? More and more movies try to, through 3D and everything, they try to captivate. So your consciousness is getting poured into the senses. Okay? You get involved in the movie. I mean, how many times have you gone to a movie and cried, ladies here? Have you cried? You're crying. You're crying. Okay. Is there anything actually happening in the movie to make you cry? Huh? Really? On that white screen, what is the size of the screen? 70 mm. Thank you, Mami. Right. 70 mm, right? Full color. Okay. People are dying, but you don't see any blood on the screen. Do you see blood on the screen? No, you don't see blood on the screen. Then when you come out, you can have popcorn and have a laugh, right? Okay. Sri Krishna is in the same situation. He is watching this movie and saying, guys, okay, it's all right. It's a movie. Okay. It is very hard for born a human with the attachments in the mind to immediately reach that state. But that is what he's saying. Right? But if you have a faith and a belief in that, and one starts to follow what he's saying, then it gives a tremendous clarity of thought and an ability to withstand all these sorrows and go through life with a much more joyous and less, shall we say, undulating or oscillating mental frame. That is what it is. Let's take another example. How many of you played Candyland? I used to love to play Candyland with my dog. You played Candyland? No? Oh, it's out of vogue now. It's a children's game. You guys have played Candyland, right? Yeah. So you play Snakes and Ladders. You like Snakes and Ladders? So we play Snakes and Ladders. When you're playing it when you're very young, right? Do children get very upset when they lose? They do. Yeah. When you come down the snake the first time, it's a very heart-rending. But when you play as a parent, do you get upset? No. You laugh at it. That's all it is. It's just like that. Okay. He's saying, now I'm going to make you an adult. Yes. Yeah.
It's very controversial.
Yeah. Please.
What's the big deal about the dukkha that we practice?
What is the big deal about them?
I mean, as Rakshak said,
Mm-hmm.
how do we get out of these problems? What's the big deal with problems?
What is the big deal with problems?
Why you get
That
stuck?
Mrityu is not a big problem.
Huh?
Yeah. Mrityu is not a big problem.
Yeah.
How are these other smaller things which are supposed to be nothingness?
Right.
Problems. Yes.
the day-to-day life thing. It's a very good question Anupam has asked, and there is a very good answer in the book.
Yes.
There's a very good answer.
I'm still not getting your drift.
So,
Quite honestly.
so right now, death is considered to be the biggest sorrow that can be.
Right.
So, Sri Krishna is saying, this is Girish.
Mhm.
You don't understand. You are always there, so this is
Right.
like discarding your parents.
Right.
And then it's also, we're trying to learn Gita, deal with day-to-day sorrow.
Right.
Saying,
Right.
what is a big deal?
So what
How
is
do you
the
want to deal with day-to-day sorrow?
so what is the big deal is this, that at every instant or with more or less frequency, a question arises: what is the right thing for a human being to do? Right? What is the right thing to do? Right? And what Sri Krishna is saying is that answer is not that you can do anything. Right? When that wisdom dawns, one must act in a certain way. One will be impelled to act in a certain way. And therefore, it is worth understanding the nature of this screen and the movie, right? So that one can act in accord with this natural law. There is a natural law. Right? Every day you get up, the sun rises, right? Yes or no? It is a natural law. The sun rises in the east. And then you have alternation of sun and moon. Right? So there is a natural rhythm to the universe. Right? What the rishis said is, when man understands how to behave in accord with the flow of the natural rhythm of the universe, he achieves his highest potential. Right? And when he doesn't, then all the other unfortunate things come to pass.
Which is what?
Huh? What is the highest potential? That highest potential is the behavior as embodied by Sri Ramachandra in his time and Bhagavan Sri Krishna. So the way they acted is the highest potential. So to give it another way, knowing what is your station in life and by acting how you can be of the greatest benefit to the world around you is part of one's dharma. Right? For that, first one has to know oneself. Before we set out to do good to anybody, you have to know what you're here for. Right? And this is part of that exploration. Does that make sense? So he is not trivializing human life itself at all, right? Because after all, in this experience, he was actively engaged in the war. Right? He didn't stand aside and just say, but he played his part to perfection. So the understanding is that this was the part, if you wanted to see a bunch of roles and you were to rank them, this was the part played to perfection. Sri Ramachandra, in his lifetime, in the Ramayana, displays the life of a human being played to perfection. Right? It will take some it will take something to even see that, because nowadays a lot of people don't feel that. But Sri Ramachandra is the Maryada Purush. If one understands one's own life and understands his life, there will be no doubt that he behaved in the highest manner. But it takes some internal tapas to understand that itself, right? Otherwise, it's very easy to dismiss many things and question very disrespectfully without understanding the context. So both these, in that sense, to me, show the exemplary way. What is the exemplary way of living as a human? I don't know if that helps.
So what does that get you? What does that get? Body or whatever.
It gets you what we said in the first class, which is every human being wants to be happy and not be sorrowful.
That gets to my question. What is the big deal with sorrow?
I think one should answer that question after meditating on one's whole life from birth to this point and ask, have you ever been subject to sorrow? And will it recur? And what do you do when you're sorrowful? I think one has to answer those three questions very honestly. The answer to the first one is very obvious. Everyone is subject to sorrow. There is no human being who's immune to it. Two is, will it recur again? Yes, it will, unless the Gyan of the Brahma Gyan dawns on a human. And the third answer is, what does one do when sorrow besieges a man? He behaves like even someone like Arjuna, one of the greatest yogis of Mahabharata, himself gets deluded and doesn't know what is the right thing. So those are the three very powerful and cogent reasons to be rid of sorrow. Any other questions?
I think it's all mind game.
But there are mind games that make the mind lead it to a higher place and those that don't.
So if you keep, like what as you said, that Ram is Maryada Purusha, if you keep this exemplary thing and try to act that way, I think you will reach to a better word of that. Yes.
I just tend to look at these as, I think you mentioned in the first class, I think there is a set of instructions and there is some eternal state. So sometimes I think in whatever we do, we can benefit from some set of instructions or statements. And it can go either way. Either we have the ability to take that and apply it in certain ways or we don't. Right. So some people may not need it. They're able to handle things the way they're able.
That's right.
Other people may benefit
from. So
because they are at some moment they might feel lost. When I remember distinctly as a child, I did not know my grandfather much. I had hardly lived with him. He passed away. So we all visited his thing. And I was maybe third grade. Right? I had no idea why people were crying, grieving. Right? But today I might feel differently. Somebody who I had attachment with. Right? So, but that always helps guide me because in some extent, when you're a child, you don't know everything. You are at some sense, I believe you're a little bit pure. You don't have that attachment and are able to see things. So that often helps. So I think this is, I would see this as a tool that would help us address things that happen to us.
Yeah, thank you. That's a very nice, very wonderful summary. So, and you're very right. Children are remarkably immune to this. They are also under the blessing of what we call the Vasus at that point. And so they are remarkably immune to death in some ways. And because they have not yet experienced attachment, like you said, in the way that older people have. The other point also you raised was very nice, which is, I think, if you look at these verses, these are all largely fall in the category of Upadesha. Right? He is stating certain truths and facts. As I said, the trick always is provisional acceptance. We talk about this a lot. Right? Provisional acceptance until proven one way or the other.
But one thing which I have noticed over time, my interest also, though, when you start talking about death, this is inevitable, this is happened, this is good thing. At one point, death is a good thing. I know personally a lot of people say, so if we keep on talking about it, if we keep on understanding this, they have a sharir or naiko, if we keep on understanding that, even death becomes, death, the people who are near death, it becomes way easier for the family, it becomes way easier. Never easy, but it's easier.
Yes.
In our brain, it's never easy, but it's easy. And these kind of things remind us again and again, that reminds us again and again that this is the eventuality happen. Why do we? And once we know that, then we start behaving better. We are better citizens.
That is wonderful and absolutely true. I have nothing to add. Thank you so much. Very nice to share that. And, very, very pertinent.
And hooked us. How to do it.
You said it in your words. That was very nice. Yeah. Have you had time? Yeah. So we will say our Swasti mantra and then disperse. Tatcham yora brunimahe Gatum yajnaya Gatum yajnapataye Daivihi swastirastunaha स्वस्तिर्मानुषेभ्यः ऊर्ध्वं जिगातु भेषजम् तन्नो अस्तु द्विपदेः शं चतुष्पदे ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति